Yo, what is up, guys? Welcome back. Today we're talking about the monitor. Yes, the 4K monitor. And, well, I was sent one by a brand, INNOCN or INNOCN, I don't know how to say their name, but they sent me this. I reached out to them. They originally were like, hey, we'll send you a portable monitor. I'm going to be honest with you, I'm a little burnt out on the portable monitor thing, and I'm just kind of ready to stop reviewing those. So we're going to talk about this. So yes, I did not have to pay for this, but I'm also going to tell you that this is not going to be a recommendation. This is hopefully just going to answer some of your questions. But if you look this monitor up specifically, you'll notice that it's a 4K, 60 hertz, HDR, FreeSync. It's got all the buzzwords. But do those buzzwords, when added together, mean that you should spend your hard-earned cash on this? Let me answer it. So first things freaking first, let's talk about what this is. It's a 4K monitor. And if you're on the market for something like this for your current gen, right? The Series X, the Series S, or the PlayStation 5, realistically the Series X and the PlayStation 5, it actually does the job just fine. Now, there are a couple limitations that I noticed when using that with the Series X and the PlayStation 5, and one is going to be just flat out, it's a 60 hertz monitor. If you have any game that pushes 120, you're not going to be doing that here, but honestly, if you're pushing 120, chances are you're not pushing 120 at 4K, and if that's the case and that's important to you, I would recommend just getting a 1440p monitor, something like the LG Ultra Gear 27-inch bunch of letters and numbers. That's what I have, and that's what I'm actually still currently using, even though I was given this 4K monitor. So what does that mean for someone who wants to get this monitor? Is it something you should be getting? And I think that's a question you should ask yourself, because the way that I would use it if I didn't play Fortnite every minute of the day is I would use it to play games like Ghost of Tsushima or some of these nicer games that do utilize 4K 60, right? And that's the biggest thing to think about. The games you want to play, are you running mostly multiplayer games? Are you running mostly single player games? On those multiplayer games, are the frame rates actually supported? Are you able to hit 120 with that game? And if you're able to hit that, is it actually pushing it at a higher resolution? Most games aren't doing that. Heck, even Fortnite, a super non-resource heavy game, is still not pushing those frame rates at that resolution. So getting a monitor that is all the way up to 4K, if the frame rates are more important for you at this current state, might not be the most viable option. So the big thing I would say when it comes to looking into this specific monitor is, if you are indeed going to utilize 4K 60 and you do have a current gen console like a PlayStation 5 or an Xbox Series X, and you are going to be using it at a desk setup more than on a actual TV itself, then I think it could potentially be a really good option. It comes with speakers, which is really nice. My LG monitor doesn't have speakers. Now, the speakers aren't super good. They are stereo speakers, so they'll get you buy in a pinch, but I would still recommend getting some gaming headphones just to really do it, or maybe get some studio speakers like what I have on my desk, but it still can get the job done. It ships with all the cables you need. It has the HDMI cable. It's not HDMI 2.1, but it's still an HDMI cable nonetheless. That 2.1 is not really going to be that necessary for you because you're not going to be hitting that 120 frames per second. So just a standard high-speed HDMI cable is good enough for you when it comes to its capabilities as far as ports are concerned. And that's something with a Mac laptop that can get quite frustrating. First off, it has two HDMI ports, both HDMI 2.0. It has two USB-B ports, which is your standard USB, a USB-A and a USB-C port, a display port, as well as a nice fat power supply, which is necessary because that's a lot of stuff. Now, if I'm being honest with you, this thing actually looks pretty freaking sweet. It almost breaks my heart that I don't use it. But, I mean, again, I'm not really playing these single-player games as much. I mean, I'm looking at this right now, and the colors are amazing. Now, something to know when you get this is they ship it with an actual color calibration sheet. So if you know that kind of thing and you want to make sure that you're getting this thing calibrated just right, you're actually pretty stoked because it shows you exactly what the calibration is, where it's at. Now, some of the drawbacks to this specific monitor that I feel is it does have FreeSync, and the variable refresh rate that is available with FreeSync is there, but again, it's 60 frames per second, so we're not really pushing much. You know, you might getting in between 40 and 60 in some games, but realistically, the 60 is pretty locked when it comes to the Series X and the PlayStation 5. Now, a big problem that I have with this is, though this has been calibrated, and I am someone who does do color correction direction. I still feel like it's lacking in the full spectrum of that HDR. It is not HDR10, which I'm not super familiar with all the different HDR levels, but I will say this, that when it comes to the actual output of that in that high dynamic range you want, we are still losing some of the colors. Now, again, this is nitpicky, and for something that is close to $300 and often on sale under $300, if you're looking for a 4K monitor at 27 inches, you really can't beat the price. And again, it does indeed have speakers, which I actually think is good and worth it. But this monitor here, I would give it a solid 7 out of 10. 7 out of 10. The price point is there, and just don't buy it at full price. Buy it on sale, and you should be good to go. This thing, you know, it's crisp. It looks good. And, you know, maybe I will keep my desk set up this way. If you guys are into this sort of thing, hit the like button. If you want to be a part of this community, hit the sub button. We're going to be changing the name here pretty soon. But most of all, you know the drill. Happy gaming.